After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Portions of our programming have been pre-recorded. Turn your fingers into a microphone and talk back. WGNSradio.com is Rutherford County's online source for what matters to you. WGNSradio.com.
This is Chip Walters, and you're listening to Rutherford County's Blue Raider station.
Yeah, we got them. MTSU Sports on WGNS, AM, FM, online. The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Welcome in. It's another Wednesday on the Roundtable. Chip Walters with you from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates, and the Blue Raider Network. Glad to have you with us here on this Wednesday. We've got a good show with you for you today, and we'll get to our guest in just a moment. But since Brian Barrett is producing, want to bring him in because WGNS will have their extended coverage of high school football playoffs beginning this week. It all gets underway, and Brian, we'll go through the full schedule here pretty quickly, but kind of give us an idea of what's going on here on the radio station.
Well, we've got 9 teams in the playoffs, high school playoffs, and that's very,
Isn't that crazy?
Very good. Yeah, I mean, we were just talking. I was talking with John earlier this week when, we had 4 teams and the coach's show was an hour and a half, but those days are long gone. But, it's really nice to have that many teams, and we ended the regular season on a great note. I'm glad the Battle of the Boroughs in Week 11 now.
Yeah.
It makes for a lot of excitement.
It does.
We're going to be headed to Smyrna to Robert L. Rake Stadium to see if the Smyrna Bulldogs can get the Week 1 monkey off their back in the first round of the playoffs. They've won 6 in a row. They started off 0-4, and people had written them off, and it's like it's going to be a terrible season for Smyrna. And then they rattled off 6 in a row to go 6-4 and get in the playoffs, win the region championship of all things, and get in the playoffs. And so they're going to be tough at home, but Independence has this has been a matchup in the first round for the first several years, and so or for several years lately. So we're going to see if they can actually get this win at home.
All right. Elsewhere in town, Oakland at 8-2 will host Gallatin, 7-3. Riverdale, fresh off their win over Oakland, will face Green Hill, which is a fairly new school from up in Sumner County. They're 7-3. Rockvale goes on the road to Mount Juliet. Rockvale 5-5 going to the higher seed Mount Juliet, who is 8-2. Siegel got into the playoffs and they go to Cookeville. Siegel 5-5. Cookeville is 7-3. You mentioned Smyrna at Independence. Stewart's Creek 7-3 is on the road to Ravenwood, as you've got a Rutherford County, Williamson County matchup. Our buddy Floyd Walker will take the Eagleville Eagles and fly out west to West Carroll, and they are 6-4 for Eagleville. West Carroll is 5-4. PCA, first year of 11-man football, are in the playoffs, and they'll go on the road to Nashville Christian. PCA 5-5 and Nashville Christian 4-6, and the best record in the county, Middle Tennessee Christian 9-1. They have a bye in the playoffs this week. So there is the full schedule.
And they're also the only number 1 team in the state.
There you go. Yeah. And so Smyrna coming up Friday night, and then you'll have a full recap Saturday morning, right?
That's right. And who knows where we'll be weeks after that, but we know we'll have somebody. Because at least TCS will win because they have a bye.
They have a bye. So you'll for sure have a second game, but I bet you'll have a choice.
Oh, I think so.
I think you will. All right. Thank you, Brian.
Yes, sir.
All right. Our guest today, Michelle Miller, who has a new book, and I can tell you that it is a book because, listen, it actually has some weight to it. Michelle, how are you doing this morning?
Doing very well. Thank you, Chip.
Good. And so I just happened to, on Facebook, 3 weeks ago, something like that, saw a post you made about having a book signing coming up this weekend on Saturday. And I said, well, I think, let me give her a call and see if she could come on the show and talk about her new book, which I love the title because there's enough bad stuff in the world these days. So the title of the book is The Good News for Anyone Who Wants to Hear It. So that's a good starting point.
It is. I had to put the subtitle because not everybody wants to hear good news, is what I've learned.
That's true. Some people just like to be miserable.
They do. So hopefully this will give people, a bright light, something that gives them hope in life. And that's why I wrote the book.
So let's give folks a little bit of your background. You've been here in Murfreesboro a long time.
Very long time. Started out in Smyrna. I'm originally from Mount Juliet. Graduated Mount Juliet High School there.
You were a bear.
I was a bear. Mount Juliet bear.
If you're going to be a bear, be a Mount Juliet bear, right?
Exactly. And then a little bit later, I was probably early 20s, moved to Smyrna. And then migrated over to Murfreesboro. That's what everybody did when they went to Smyrna, seems like. And then have been here ever since. I think I had a little bit of a hiatus here, probably about 3 or 4 years. I lived in Florida. And then my kids absolutely hated it. So we moved back, and they all went to Blackman High School and graduated there. And now my youngest is here at McFadden.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow. So, and I'll say this: I knew your daughter before I knew you because she has worked for growing up through high school and college. She worked in the service industry and had Wade Hayes on the other day, and Bailey Ann worked at Toots forever. And it's kind of one of those situations because she knows so many people that. Oh, you're Bailey's mom, and you get that all the time?
All the time, Chip. I say that I am famous from my children.
And that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. And she's made a really good impression on people here in Murfreesboro. I hear everywhere I go. She actually works with me now.
Oh, does she? Okay.
Yeah, so, and she's making a name for herself there, but for years I'd be in Dillard's or at the mall or something, and people would be like, you're Bailey's mom, and would say hi, and that's how people knew me.
So
yes,
and that's okay. That's absolutely fine. And now you have you're with your new book, forging ahead in something that I don't care if you write a 3-page pamphlet or War and Peace or anything in between. It's got to be a daunting task to even think about. Do I really want to do this? And So where did the idea come from, and give us the cliff notes of what the good news is?
So I never had any intentions on writing a book ever. It was never something I aspired to do.
You think, oh, that's what other really interesting people do or something.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm like, why would I? Because if you hear me talk, and matter of fact, my book's written very much how I talk, and my publisher was not too happy about that. They wanted to change a lot of things to be very proper grammar and things like that. And I'm just a Southern girl from Mount Juliet. It's called Mount Juliet, by the way.
Mount Juliet, that's right.
And I was like, no, I want it to sound like me. And so there's a lot in the book that does just sound like me, but never wanted to write a book. I got to a point in life to where I felt like I had a lot to say. I had a lot of life lessons. That I thought, you know what, if I wrote this and put my thoughts down on paper, which that's basically what I did. I just started having thoughts. I've always journaled. And so I just picked up, I went to Best Buy. This is what I did. Went to Best Buy, got me a laptop specifically for this book. And I thought, I'm just going to start writing, see where it goes. And I wrote it in 5 days. Very quick. 5 days was the majority of the book. Now,
did you have a bunch of notes that you'd already taken, or did it just kind of start free flowing out of that noggin?
It just free flowed. It was kind of interesting because I would go back to some of my journal entries because over the years you'll forget certain specific things, and I wanted to make sure I was correct on my stories.
sometimes there's a little revisionist history.
Correct.
And so.
Yeah, so that's what I started doing, and it just laid down on paper. And probably, I would say maybe, I'm just guessing here, maybe 30 pages of the book was just additions after I actually wrote it. And it was because I kept going back through many times having to edit. That's another thing through the publishing process is when you make an edit, you have to read the whole thing from front to end. It's not just about those small little edits that you made because, publishers can make mistakes too. And so they're like, you've got to read it. So I just kept reading and I kept adding to it. And finally, Cindy, who is the assistant who helped me do the publishing process, she said, Michelle, you've got to stop. Like, start another book. Start doing something else. So that's what I did. And so I finally cut it off and just said, this is my book. I'm going to stop adding my stories to it. And now I'm starting on book 2.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Different, another chapters in your life. I think we all have, as you mentioned, you talked about life lessons, which is kind of sometimes a nice word for the scars that come along the way. Right. And it's like, it takes a big leap of, I don't know whether it's a leap of faith or whatever it is. Okay. Do I want to air this out? And talk about the process that you went through within your own head. And I'm sure that, within your own family to say, hey, you're going to be characters in this thing because you're part of my life. And right. Just want to let you know ahead of time, how did those conversations go?
So my children were like, what'd you say about me, Mama? But really, it was more of my perspective. I don't really list names or anything. It's just experiences I went through. And I did, and that's probably why it took me so long to publish it, because I wrote it 8 years ago.
Okay.
Is I just thought, well, do I really want to air all my dirty laundry? But when I went into it, I said, it's either all or nothing. I'm either going for it or I'm not. And I even had a few different people kind of read a little bit here and there as I was writing. And even today, when people do read it that know me, they're like, Michelle, why would you say these things? Why would you put all of your stories out there? Like, why would you do that? And I'm like, well, who is going to learn from just, mediocre things that have happened and not really telling the whole truth? And so I was pretty raw about it. Matter of fact, I went to, I gave a copy to my pastor at church.
Oh, wow.
And because it is Christian based,
right.
the book is more about that. That is the good news.
Right.
It's about the good news at the end of the day is, you've got the love of Jesus to kind of bring you through things if you've got that relationship with him. So when I told him, I said, it's pretty raw. I'm just going to tell you. And he goes, okay, I'm going to read it. And he was like, yep, it is. But, it tells a lot of things that a lot of people don't really go into detail about when they're telling their story, maybe. Mm-hmm. And 2, I was able to put it on paper without standing in front of somebody and telling a story. So it's a little bit different. You're telling a story without telling details that you're shy about doing, like what we're doing right now.
Right.
I could tell it, and then if people accepted it, they did. If they didn't, so be it.
As far as, I think you hear a lot of interviews with authors who put out books, and some do it because they felt it was some sort of cathartic process for themselves. Some, I know Stephen Faust, who wrote a book, a very long book about his walk across the United States. He got very emotional here, talking about how that walk and talking to his parents on one day a week, he knew he was going to call them, that kind of thing. And a lot of the book was a lot about, did it for the relationship there. So, people have written books for their kids, or, to where they knew more about their parent or whatever it might be. So what made you feel like, okay, there are people out there that want to hear my story?
So I'll tell a little bit of backstory of some history with me to lead into that. So I started in the industry I'm in probably about 25 years ago, and great industry. I'm still in it today. I've just changed the service line that I'm in with this industry. And I traveled a lot. So I was constantly traveling. I was on airplanes. I was in hotels. I was at hotel lobby bars having dinner. And I got to meet a lot of strangers that became acquaintances, then friends, I've kept up with through the years. And it would either be I would overhear a story that they're telling, or maybe they were on the phone with somebody saying something, and I always had something to interject or to help them with, or to maybe give them some advice or tell them my experience with the same thing. And so when I started doing that, I thought, man, people could really benefit from maybe some of the things I've gone through. And maybe they've gone through the same thing, and now they don't feel alone once they hear, hey, I'm not the only one that goes through this. And so that's kind of how I started writing it, meeting all these people out. I remember one lady, I was in Birmingham. I was sitting at the hotel lobby bar, ready to go out with some clients, and she was talking to someone next to her, and her story kind of mirrored a little bit of my story. And we just got to talking, and I had already written the book then. And I shared a little snippet of it with her. This was before it was even published. And she read it, and she goes, wow. She goes, thank you. She goes, now I feel like I've got a little bit of hope. Thank you for sharing this with me. And so things like that were happening constantly. And so because of that, it just was easy to write.
Well, Michelle Miller is our guest. Her pen name is Michelle Louise. We'll go into that, and now we've set the table. We'll kind of dive into the book on our next segment. You're listening to the Roundtable here on WGNS. Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates.
Getting the kids to practice on time. Remembering if it's your day to bring snacks. Making it to the game with a clean jersey. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like whether your kid is going to run toward first or third base. That's simple human sense.
Rayburn Insurance in Smyrna.
Come see me, Rick Hall, at Rayburn Insurance in downtown Smyrna today.
Online at rayburn.net.
Hey, it's Scott. When it comes to health, there are numbers that every man needs to know, including our very own testosterone numbers. I recommend going to Low T Center, where they make it quick and easy to get your levels checked, and it's only $25. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll know your results in about 25 minutes. Low testosterone levels can make you feel tired, grumpy, cause lack of motivation, and drive. It can also raise your cholesterol, cause weight gain, and loss of muscle mass. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Learn to make money 5 ways with rental real estate. Double your money with apartments. And get your map to financial freedom. And that map starts with a free workshop. Sign up now at lifestylesunlimited.com. Click on the Join Free Workshop tab and attend online or in person. That's lifestylesunlimited.com. Lifestylesunlimited.com. Again, that's lifestylesunlimited.com. Limited seating, unlimited potential.
But there's a lot going on here. Entertainers come in 3 or 4 times a week. I'm Greg Shannon. Come and check out Adam's Place. Of all the places we checked, it was by far the most comfortable. People make a difference in your life. And when we first got here, they come up and said, hey, join us for dinner. They just want you to be part of the community, Just feel so welcoming.
I'm Terry Deal. Call me for more information about Adams Place, 1927 Memorial Boulevard, across from Walmart.
Call Adams Place today at 615-904-9111.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and Americare Pest Control.
This is a paid legal ad.
Hi, this is John Day of the law offices of John Day. For more than 30 years, my team and I have worked hard to help injured people throughout Middle Tennessee. Over that time, we've helped thousands of people get the legal help they need when they've needed it the most. And if we're not able to help or aren't the right lawyer for you, we'll do the best to point you in the right direction. If you've been injured, call the law offices of John Day for a free consultation. And remember, there's no fee unless we win your case.
You can depend on WGNS for local news, coverage of local sports, as well as what's happening here at home. Oh, don't forget this is the weekend we fall back in time. So before you go to bed Saturday night, set your clock back 1 hour. It's also the weekend for Habitat for Humanity's Cookin' to Build. That's one of the big events of the year. It's all around the Rutherford County Courthouse. Starts at 11 o'clock this Saturday morning, and you'll enjoy some of the best homemade soups, stews, and gumbo. Don't miss Cookin' to Build. 11 until 1 this Saturday around the courthouse on the square. It all benefits Habitat for Humanity. Now listen closely. Right off Broadway, MTSU presents Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella at the Tucker Theater. It's going on all this weekend through Sunday. This is the new Broadway adaptation of the classic musical. This is the new Cinderella, so don't miss it. Tickets are available when you get there at the door at MTSU's Tucker Theater. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Good neighbor weather. We'll see sunny skies here this afternoon, a high in the low 50s. North winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear, low near 25. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 29.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. MTE's downtown Murfreesboro office on North Walnut is closed and staff relocated to the new central office on New Salem Highway. Get assistance or make payments there or at the St. Andrews Drive location.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into the Wednesday Roundtable. Don't forget that if you miss any of our interview today with Michelle Miller about her book, The Good News, you can find it on the podcast section of WGNSradio.com not long after we are done today. You've got I don't want to forget about it, and we'll catch it again later. You've got a book signing coming up this weekend. Mm-hmm. Tell folks about it.
So it's going to be at Barnes & Noble here in Murfreesboro in the Avenue. Starts at 1 p.m., and then I am doing a reading of portions of my book at 1:30. And I can stay as late as I want to or leave as early as I want to, so they kind of left it up to me.
Okay, a little open-ended.
Yep, a little open-ended. I guess I'm just going to stay there as long as people want to get their book signed.
Okay, I got you. Now, you use a pen name. Everybody here, we all know you as Michelle Miller, and I'm sure at some point your mama said, Michelle Louise, you get in here, and but you're going by Michelle Louise as a pen name. So,
I am.
What made you decide to do that?
Actually, that was by the suggestion of my aunt. Louise is my middle name, and I was named after both of my grandmothers. Their names were Louise. So
I'm named after my grandfathers. So there you go.
There you go. So just keeping the history there. Plus, I thought, everybody does know me as Miller. Matter of fact, in my industry, people have started calling me, and one gentleman, you know who you are, started, they all call me Miller Time. So I thought, I need a little segregation just to be identified as myself through this process. So my pen name's Michelle Louise.
Okay, there you go. So you said you started this process 8 years ago.
Yes.
And when did it first come out in being published?
So I got the information probably end of July that it was out for retail through Amazon and Barnes & Noble, but it was online. You couldn't get it in the bookstores yet. I've learned that this is a process, not just a book release. Here's your book, and everything happens immediately after that. So with my publisher, they just released the interview. I had an interview with Reading House, and they just released that to the masses on last Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is, it's all fairly new. It's still fresh and new. And when you saw it on your computer screen, it's one thing, but when they shipped you the first copy of this with your smiling face on the cover and said, and it's bound, it's got real pages, it's got page numbers.
Mm-hmm.
What was that feeling like?
Kind of surreal.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at my face on the front and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, should I really do this? I said, well, there's no turning back now. It's out. And, you know, I started letting friends and family know about it, and they have been so supportive, which, you know, I couldn't thank them enough. My family's been great through this. Mm-hmm. Friends, even industry friends. And it's just, it's kind of surreal, you know, looking at it and going, okay, well, what am I going to do next? Because I did start writing my second book.
Okay.
And so it's, where do you go from here? Because it was easy, and this is what people ask me all the time. When you have an idea or you have something to say, it's really easy to write.
Okay.
When you've already written something and you want to continue that, it's not so easy because you're going, which direction do I need to go? But there's a lot in my life that's happened since 8 years ago. And that's kind of where I've started with my next book. It's kind of a continuation.
Gotcha. Is it more autobiographical or more storytelling? And there's probably, I would imagine there's a gray area in there where it probably fits.
A little bit of both.
A lot of both of those.
It does. A little bit of both. I do tell some stories that have happened to me through my lifetime. Some are funny, some are sad. I've had a few friends tell me I'm crying one minute and I'm laughing the next, and then I'm so excited the next. Or I kind of realized, I had a childhood friend call me, and she says, after I read this, I realized there's things that I want in life, and I want to be better in life, and you just made me do that.
Okay.
Made me want to do that.
Yeah. Obviously, like you mentioned, there have been friends and family members who've read this, but who do you think is a good target reader for this? And
that's a good question.
What kind of folks do you think that the title is going to rope in the good news, and for anyone who wants to hear about it?
Really, people that may be depressed, maybe down a little bit, maybe they want some encouragement. But just in the readers that have read so far, I really feel like this resonates with probably, I wrote it for women, to be honest. And as I started writing, I was like, you know, men could really benefit from hearing a woman's side, a woman's perspective. But I really feel like the younger woman that maybe has not matured in their life like I have, and I won't tell my age, but the younger woman that's just getting into her own, maybe starting her life out, because I talk about, you know, having children, being married, going through divorce, being single again, family, things that have happened through my life. So I feel like for those girls and that younger generation probably will get more out of this because they're thinking, they haven't done all of this yet.
Yeah, you've walked the path.
Right. I've walked the path, and that was one of my things that I told. And I'll be honest, some of Bailey's friends have read this.
Oh, really?
Yes, and the feedback I get from them is so different from my generation, my age group, and they're like, you really talked about things that really are going to help me or are helping me now. Thank you so much for putting that down, because, you gave me like a little hope with something I'm going through that you went through. So that's the feedback I'm getting from, probably mid-20s to probably 40 maybe is a good age group.
Yeah, not to divulge your age as you mentioned, but your contemporaries, what are they saying about it when they because you've got those younger ones who you said have not walked the path yet, and your contemporaries who have been down similar paths, are they saying, "That's right, sister"?
They sure are. They're like, you made me, it was like deja vu in some moments in my own life. It made me think about things that I've gone through in my life, and it kind of took me back to, some history that I've been through. And so that is the feedback I get from them.
Yeah. As far as the timeline of your life, where did you kind of start the book? I mean, at what point in your life does it kind of pick up? Well, and does it kind of follow chronologically, or is it just kind of
it does
okay,
it does. When I sat down for those 5 days and wrote the majority of the book, it was pretty much what I was going through at the time. As I started putting it down on paper and putting chapters to everything, I'm like, they need to know how I got here. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I wrote the first chapter and getting to where I was at the current time when I was writing it.
And I think when those of us who are a certain age, we grew up with, when you did have those battle scars in your life, that you were supposed to keep those quiet, and
right.
Those things are supposed to remain quiet, and to be able to put it out there, did it make you feel better to be able to write about some of those things, or was it freeing at all? Or
it really was. I had gone through something when I wrote it. I'll be honest. I had hit rock bottom, emotionally, financially, relationally. And I was just honestly crying on my couch every night. And I'm like, how did I end up here? And my aunt and uncle, I'll never forget this. They came over, and they're pastors down in Tampa. And I went to them, talking to them. They came and visited me, and pretty much just they prayed with me. And at that point, God had just come in and changed my life to where I started living my life for Him, and it turned everything around. And it was so nice to put that down on paper, and more of let me tell you how God changed my life. And it has been that way ever since, honestly.
Yeah. And so when when things were not great, give us an example of where you knew that you had been touched and got your first dose of good news.
So I'm going to tell you a little. This is actually in my book. I'll kind of elaborate a little bit because I don't really go into much detail. I was going through a battle in the courts, and anybody can read about this in my book, but I didn't know what I was going to do. I was supposed to be in court that week. It was about my daughter. And I was in church one Sunday, and the pastor was talking about when the Israelites circled the walls of Jericho. And he told them to go circle it 7 times and the walls will fall down. And I'm hearing this story, and I'm like, I've been battling this thing in court, spent numerous dollars on this. What am I going to do? I was just crying out to God, please help me. And so I got the notion because this was the Sunday before my court date, got the notion, I'm going to go walk around this court 7 times.
So you go walk around a courthouse?
I go to the courthouse. Now, this is the juvenile courthouse. It has a jail connected to it. Didn't know this. I had no clue. So I get over there, and I get out of my car, and of course I get my holy oil out and do that kind of thing, and I start walking around. I did one lap, and of course I'm praying and I'm reading scripture as I'm doing it, and my second lap I hear, "What are you doing?" And I have to tell you, Chip, I thought God is talking to me right now, and I look up and I'm looking around saying, "Who said that?" And they say it again. "Can you please tell me what you're doing?" And I'm still looking around, and I look over to the courthouse, and whoever it was behind there said, "Ma'am, yes, it's me. I'm in the intercom. I'm talking to you through this intercom."
So it was a voice out of the sky.
It was a voice. And I said, so I walked over to it and I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "Can I ask you what you're doing?" I said, I'm just walking around. It's a beautiful day. I'm just walking around, needed a little walk. And she goes, "Do you think you can do that somewhere else?" I said, "Well, sure. Am I doing something wrong?" And she said, "No, but this courthouse is connected to the jail, and you're making a lot of people in here nervous." Because I was just walking. They had no idea what I was doing there.
Right.
And I said, "Well, would you mind if I got another lap in?" She goes, "By all means, go for it." So that last lap, went around, saying my scripture, praying, got in my car, went home. The next day I had court. The next day after that, the judge literally went along with my entire request, did not deviate from it. And that's when I knew that it was God showing me, I hear you.
Yeah. And so one instance like that where we all react well to positive feedback. Mm-hmm. And you had, by way of what you did here, got the positive feedback, and that inspired, if you ask for help once and got it, you're not going to be afraid to ask for it a second time.
Right. And having faith in that.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I just knew, my life had just taken a turn, and not everything was, a bed of roses, but for the most part, I didn't worry about anything. I didn't really look at my life as, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It'll be taken care of.
Was that, and I hear, I'm around coaches a lot, and we'll take a break here, and we'll catch up on that in just a second. But a reminder that the book is called The Good News. The pen name is Michelle Louise. It is available on Amazon, and she'll be having a book signing at Barnes & Noble here in Murfreesboro on Saturday afternoon. We'll take a break and get back with our final segment and head down the stretch here on the Roundtable here on Wednesday on WGNS.
For home restoration at a price you can afford, trust the professionals at Farrah Construction to get the job done on time and within your budget. Farrah Construction can remodel your home or can update your kitchen, bath, or other rooms. I'm Ron Hall. If you can dream it, Farrah Construction can turn it into reality. Call Farrah Construction at 615-893-6120. Shop local. Let our family business help you. Farrah Construction Company.
Medicare open enrollment is here. Do you want to sit down with someone and review your coverages for the upcoming year? We'd love to see you. Call Cover My Assets Insurance Group today so we can make an appointment for your policy review. Our services are free, and we can even come to you. We are a local agency that puts our community first. Find us on Facebook or visit our website at covermyassets.com. That's covermyassets.com.
Here at Bud's Tire, we make buying Michelin tires simpler. I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We offer a straightforward approach to service, including nationwide warranties with every purchase. Stop in today to see our full lineup of Michelin and BF Goodrich tires. For whatever you drive, Michelin and BF Goodrich have a tire to fit any need. Bud's Tire Pros, hassle-free, guaranteed. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
Support local downtown businesses this holiday season by coming to the Holiday Sip, Shop, and Stroll event Friday night, November 3rd. From 4 to 8 p.m., stores are open with treats and drinks, special sales, and lots to buy for your gift-giving needs. Artists will be downtown with the Borough Art Crawl. Take a horse and buggy ride around the historic downtown and make plans to eat at a local restaurant. The Holiday Sip, Shop, and Stroll event Friday night, November 3rd from 4 to 8 p.m.
Woodbury Road Baptist Church invites you to worship with us this Sunday morning at 10:45. If you can't make it in person, listen to WGNS Sunday morning at 10:15. Find out more at woodburyroadbaptist.org. We look forward to worshiping with you this Sunday.
Hi, this is Mike Cutter. I am the owner of the award-winning family-owned home care agency, Honey Hill Home Care. Are you or a loved one in need of a reliable, compassionate caregiver? We take the time to match our experienced caregivers with your family member to ensure a comfortable and lasting bond. With us, you can have peace of mind knowing your loved one will receive exceptional assistance, monitoring, and companionship from a trusted caregiver they can rely on. Honey Hill has been the trusted source for home care for hundreds of families in Rutherford County over the last 7 years. Learn more at honeyhillhc.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable on this Wednesday. Chip Walters here from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates, and the Blue Raider Network. Michelle Miller, her pen name Michelle Louise, and her new book is called The Good News, and the subtitle for anyone who wants to hear it. And it is available on Amazon, at Barnes & Nobles, and she'll be having a book signing this Saturday at 1 o'clock, and you'll be reading starting at 1:30. So is it available in they can go into the store and buy it now, right?
They can.
At Barnes & Nobles or other places too?
I haven't seen, I'm not really sure, honestly, Chip, but yes, it is at Barnes & Noble. You can go in and it's on the tables there now for all the new books that have come out, and that's where it's at.
Good. But on Amazon, go in and just type in either Michelle Louise or...
there's a lot of... there are a ton of Michelle Millers out there.
Are
Go
there really?
Figure that.
Was that part of the pen name deal to kind of separate you from them?
Kind of separate, yes. Okay. But if you type in Michelle Louise, The Good News, it comes right up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. And for Prime members, that means you'd get it tomorrow. So,
correct.
So there you go. The story you told before the break, obviously... you felt some intervention right there. And once that happened, because that seemed from just our conversation here, that was kind of the first time you felt that really happen. And so after that, did you start looking for it more, or were you more aware of those type of things altering and having an effect on your life?
Oh, for sure. I did not do anything after that without praying about it, talking with God about it, really trying to seek His path. I have learned through all of these trials, tribulations, that His path is always the best anyway. So instead of asking for what I want, I was just, your will be done. But that's how I faced everything pretty much after that. And time again, it was always Him coming through, being true to His word. And that's really why I wrote The Good News, was to let people know there is hope if you seek it in the right places. And that's what I think our society in these days, we're always looking for the answers and so many things that don't really give a return that you want. You think, oh, this is going to make me happy. It could be a job. It could be a relationship. And then they are still seeking and looking for that happiness, peace, joy. And they still seek it after that, and it didn't work for them. And so that's really the message of my book.
The world's on fire right now, as it is anyway. with things going on, here, around the world, wherever it may be. And I think it's, it's refreshing to have somebody that is telling stories of, as you call it, the good news, because I don't understand the negativity and the sarcasm that everybody, and the whole gotcha mentality that's out there right now. I don't understand that. I don't understand how people can enjoy their lives being that way. But that's just me.
That's really me too,
So,
Chip.
But and do you think it? Because I think it's very timely that your book is coming out now. Could that be a little piece of divine intervention there as well? That
I
at a time
believe
when
so.
we need it most.
I believe so, and like I said, I pray over everything, and it took a long time it was about a year to publish the book. When I sent out my transcript, or manuscript, I should say, I sent it out to a few publishers, and, even the selection of who I work with Covenant Books. They've been fantastic. And I was just praying, let it come out when it should. I really wanted it to come out a lot sooner. And that just wasn't in the cards. It took a lot longer than we thought, and it's here when it's here. And I believe it's right on time, God's timing, and that's perfect for me.
You told me as we got started that it is written in a conversational style, in your voice, and
Yes.
we all are a little south in the mouth. And what has been the reaction? Number one, from your publishers, and number two, from readers who have. Did they find it easier to read, or because it sounded like it read like you were there talking to them?
Right. I've gotten a lot of response on how it was written. Matter of fact, my uncle's in the middle of writing a book, and he says, I really need your help because I want to sound personable. I want to sound like you're not just reading a book, but you're having a conversation. And that is how the book's written. It's more conversational. My publisher wasn't, that probably is what took so long, is they're wanting me to get into the formal way of talking. And I went back and forth with them a few times, and they did. They were like, okay, if that's how you want it, let's do it. But I really wanted it to sound like it was coming from me. More conversational. I hear it's a easy read. I've had people tell me I don't read books, but I read yours in a day and a half. So, really good feedback as far as how it's written. I didn't intend for it to be that way. It was just, like I said, I had something to say when I wrote it.
Yeah, and what'd you say, 3 days or 5 days?
5.
It took 5. When you started, once you started, it took 5 days. Did you have any intention of writing it that quickly? Or,
no.
Or what did you, when you said, okay, I'm going to dive into this, it's probably going to take me X number of days, weeks, whatever. How long? What did you think it was? What did you think it was going to be, and why do you think that timetable just ramped up? Did you just start having a free flow of consciousness there, or
free flowing,
and didn't want to lose it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. When it was there, I wanted to write about it.
Yeah.
And so I just kept writing. I didn't have it in any special format, any chronological format. It just landed on paper, and afterwards is kind of where I pieced it together in the chapters that they're in and things like that.
Speaking of chapters, what do you have a favorite chapter or two that jumps out at you, and what are they and why?
Oh, man. If you read through my chapter list, some of them I would definitely not go into on the air, but...
my beginning, the dating game, creating bonds that bind, and others.
Yes, and others. But I want to say, probably this is towards the end of the book. It's called The Dead Zone. That's where I explain a lot about what God was doing in my life. And I really had checked out of society, to be honest. I was working, and that was my social life. My day job was my social life. When I was traveling for work, that was my social life. When I would come home, I would stay at home. I really didn't do a whole lot. Spent most of it with my family, my children, going to church, spending time doing things like that. It was really just dedicated to having peace, harmony in my life. I wasn't looking to date anyone. I wasn't looking to go out and have fun. Fun for me was sitting at home, watching a movie, walking the dogs, going to the gym.
Yep.
And that was the dead zone for me. I really didn't have a lot outside going on, but that's really where God did a lot of work in me, and made a foundation to where it made that solid foundation to where it stuck. It wasn't going anywhere. It's been a consistent part of my life since then.
Another chapter title that I really like is Friend or Foe, and foe is spelled F-A-U-X. So friend or fake?
Correct. Friend or fake. And, we cross that a lot in our lives. And I got to be honest, as young individuals, this is where I found that foe came in a lot. Now that I've gotten older, my friendships are
much
deeper, more committed, non-judgmental, and not having preconceived notions of how that relationship should be. Like the demands of what you put on your friends, family, whatever relationship it is, just isn't there as you get older. You kind of learn what really is important in life. And those foes kind of go away. But I did have to talk about it. Bailey came to me, Bailey and Gabby, she's my middle daughter, and they were talking to me about friends and friendships that they've had. And when I wrote that chapter, they were having their own friend issues. And I was kind of counseling, talking to them about that. And so a lot of what's in that chapter was just stuff that I had talked about with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the final chapter, I like that too. In conclusion, check your attitude.
Correct. Check your attitude. I'll tell, how much time do we have?
We've got about 2 minutes.
Okay. In that chapter, I talk about how I used to live in this big, huge home over in Baskin Brook. Loved my home. It was all about the home, keeping up with everybody else. We had lightning hit the house, and these firefighters came in to, check everything out, make sure nothing's on fire, that there's not an electrical fire, things like that. And back then, I was so pretentious about some things. I'll be honest. That's the phase I went through in life. And one firefighter came up the front stairs, which in my house, you don't go up those front stairs. And he did, and he tracked mud in the house. I literally went to the front door and told that gentleman to come in and clean my carpet. And he did. And I look back now and go, did I really do that? And that's what I mean by check your attitude. Some of these things that we make so big really aren't that big. And and in that chapter too, I talk about, you've got people looking at you. If you are a Christian, you are an example, and you need to be living your life and letting other people see that example. Because when you're doing things like I did with that firefighter, that really didn't look like a Christ-like person to me. Yeah. And I see it randomly here and there with different people and the things that they're going through in public or wherever it is you're at. And it just makes me sad for them, because we're responsible for showing and spreading that light.
Yeah. You've got a second book that's going to be on the way, but right now the focus is on this one, getting it up and running. It is out there. Again, it is on Amazon. It's called The Good News. For anyone who wants to hear it, Michelle Miller, with her pen name Michelle Louise, is the author, and coming up on Saturday for everybody who wants to come by and meet you and and you're going to be doing a reading. I think that'll be interesting.
Yes.
For folks who want to hear that as well.
Yes, please come by. I'd love to see everyone. I'd love to share even stories. I know there's a lot of people that have read that have questions about different things that I didn't really go into much detail about.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be happy to answer those questions, and I'm looking forward to it.
Good deal. The book is available on Amazon and at Barnes & Noble. And thank you for coming by. It's been a lot of fun.
Yes, it's been great. Thank you so much, Chip, for having me.
Absolutely. Brian Barrett is coming up next, and we'll be back here again next Wednesday with another episode. Brian has football coming up on Friday night. I've got football on Saturday out in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So everybody have a great day and brave the chilly weather. It's going to get warmer here in the next few days. So have a great day and keep it right here on the Big G, WGNS.